Welcome to week 3. We began by embracing our vision and focusing on our masterpiece. And then we moved into connecting with others and ourselves in powerful ways. And we focused on setting goals aligned with those things. So before we move into week 3, which is about eating well, which is something I love, and creating an awesome life, let's take a moment to reflect on the past few weeks. How are your goals coming along? Are you finding a trend with the ones that are feeling successful? Are you finding a trend for the ones that aren't as much? There's no such thing as a failure throughout this entire journey, because even if something that you've set a goal for yourself in, even if that doesn't happen, what you get in return is a gift. And that's just a lesson about yourself. Maybe it wasn't the right goal, or maybe it's not the right time, or maybe you need to focus a little bit more. Whatever it is, each week is a learning. And that's up for you to decide. So I want you to take a look at your list and the things that you've been focused on and make some decisions about those things if you want to continue focusing on them, or if you want to reset, maybe reword or look at some other areas and keep moving forward towards your vision. Once you're done reflecting, let's move into week 3, eating well and creating an awesome life. Now this topic resonates with me because just like in week 2, where I talked about fitness and how we start in connecting with ourselves by taking care of our body, nutrition is an essential element to taking care of our body. It's another message we're sending to our body that says, hey, I want to take care of you. You're worth it. And so by understanding some great nutritional tips, we can connect with ourselves more and empower our body to be strong, to feel confident, and to feel as if it wants to be energetic and to accomplish the things that we set forward in our lives. On the other side, once we move into this eating well idea, we're also going to focus on creating an awesome life. And what that truly means is we're going to really focus on that vision you set for yourself a few weeks ago, and what do we need to do with our weekly goals in order to start moving towards that bigger vision. So that's what today is about. And I'm so excited to introduce our guest speaker. Her name is Marissa Bersati, and she is a registered dietitian and a personal friend of mine. She's also a yoga instructor, so she brings a wealth of knowledge to our lesson today. And I'm so pleased that she'll join us to share in eating well and creating an awesome life. Welcome, Marissa.
Hi.
We're so excited to have you here because this topic resonates with everyone. I mean, we all have to eat, right? So if we can make choices that help us to live more powerfully, which is what you're going to talk to us about today, well, we can move mountains in our lives just by what we choose to eat. So we're going to learn a little bit about that today and how we can move our life, create an awesome life just by making some good nutritional choices and taking care of ourselves. So Marissa, tell me a little bit about how nutrition can help us to focus on living into a powerful life.
Sure. So nutrition started off really important to me at a very young age. Starting in first grade, I started packing on the pounds for whatever reason, and by the time I entered middle school, I weighed more than I did at my highest pregnancy weight, and I was 6 inches shorter. So starting from an early age, I realized how important it was that what you put into your body is what you get out of your body. And then after I had my first child, I found myself in that same situation, 50 pounds heavier, got that weight off. Then after my second child, found myself 50 pounds heavier, got that weight off. Now I'm after my third child. And so I'm realizing how important it is to put that healthy food into your body. And at this point too, I see it completely as preventative medicine. And whether or not you're putting 1,200 calories in your body or 2,000 calories in your body, the healthy food choices are so important. Whole foods coming from fruits and vegetables, whole grains, healthy fats and proteins. What you put into your body is what you get out of your body. Mm-hmm. So I definitely see it as being important, and I strive to pass that message on to other people.
Yes, and I completely agree. It's preventative medicine. When you're eating, you're putting food into your body, and as it shifts and changes into your body, it's doing something. Just like when you take a pill, as it enters into your body, it shifts and changes into some substance that's going to do something. Food does the same thing. So if you're putting lots of great stuff that's healthy and healing and inspiring and helping your body to run on all cylinders, you're going to feel amazing. And you're going to feel like getting out there and doing it, living your best life. When you eat food that sort of slows you down or makes you feel tired or doesn't help your systems to be on all cylinders, you feel more lethargic, you aren't as motivated, I think you even get more fatigued more quickly, have less patience, all of those things, right? So your story is amazing in such that you learned at such an early age how important this was. A lot of folks listening in probably have had to learn later in life how important it is, or maybe they've seen somebody struggle, or maybe they themselves are struggling. So I think that your story is one of inspiration, and it's a real life message that what we put in our body absolutely translates out into what we're able to offer the world. So can you help us to sort of maybe think about ways that we can take the idea of nutrition and how we can sort of control, how do I say this? Nutrition is about making choices. And most of the time we know a lot of the great choices that are out there for us, but oftentimes we'll make the one that's probably not the best for us. Maybe we get tempted, we lose our discipline, we lose our focus, right? Are there any tips that we can use to help us to sort of gain that discipline and reconnect back with ourselves?
So I definitely think tuning into the breath is a powerful tool. We all know how powerful the breath is. It's prana, it's a vital life force. So I teach in my class, tuning into the breath, you can handle different situations in which you build anxiety. You can turn away from the cookie jar. You can turn away from those cheese puffs. And basic breath awareness has been shown to reduce stress, anxiety, promote restful sleep, and in turn, you're able to handle those situations, whether or not it's unfortunately somebody or a situation. You can stay away from the cookie jar. You can focus back on the breath and use that as a tool.
Awesome. So just think of that. Just breathing alone can help us to turn away from the cookie jar. I love this idea because I certainly need the help. So can you let us know a little bit more about the breath? Like, what is an example of a controlling breath? So if, those who've not done yoga before, have never practiced, what are some ways that they can help to sort of control their breathing?
Sure, and this is a simple technique. It comes from a pranayama practice, and pranayama it can vary in complexity, and the more complex it is, the more you would likely do this under an advanced practitioner. But this is a basic technique you can do anywhere. I do this with my children at bedtime. I do this at the beginning of my classes. So you don't need an advanced practitioner to do this. And it's basically, you can do this lying down. I always recommend, when you press the snooze button in the morning, instead of going back to sleep, you're already lying there. You might as well use the breath, tune into the breath. 5 minutes a day has been shown to have tremendous benefits. So you can lie down or sit down and just place your hand on your belly and close your eyes or not close your eyes. Just soften and listen to the breath and just break it down in 3 parts. So you're inhaling, you're feeling your low belly rise, your side ribs expand, your collarbone rises, and then you exhale and your collarbones lower, your side ribs come in, and then at the end of the exhalation, you just engage that area slightly below the navel. And so you're increasing your inhalation and increasing your exhalations comfortably. Mm-hmm. And by doing this, you're just watching the breath. So a lot of times when you say watch the breath, people kind of don't understand that, which is understandable. It's an abstract concept to think of watching the breath. So I'll tell people watch the breath the way you would watch the tides of the ocean. Inhaling, the tide comes in. Exhaling, the tide goes out. So sitting down, lying down, whichever way you do this, just taking 5 minutes or however long your snooze is to watch that breath. And this is just going to help you in so many different ways so that when you are presented with these anxious moments or the anxiety builds throughout the day, you're not turning to these food triggers.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I think that is a key point, food triggers. So what you are saying is that we can actually use breath to help sort of slow down our mind and really reconnect back with our discipline on what the decisions we truly want to make. And 5 minutes a day, if we can practice this breathing technique where we either sit or lie flat, and I like that idea of watching the tides roll in and out because I love that. And breathing in, is it in your nose and out your nose?
In through your nose, out through your nose, yes.
And then engaging right below the navel on the exhalation, at the end of the exhalation, and practicing that for about 5 minutes a day. So this will help us from steering away from the cookie jar and making better choices. But what this will actually do is help us to discipline our mind and get better connected back to our mindset and the things that we really want. So this is a really powerful thing. So that's an awesome piece of advice, but I think what I really clung to were the last few words you used, and that was food triggers. You said this may help you as, to prevent some of those food triggers. So let's talk about that, because I don't know about you all, but there are certain foods that I just get triggered by, or certain times in my life when I'm stressed or things going on that trigger me to want to eat foods that I don't normally. So tell me a little bit about this.
So the food triggers, those are things, again, stressful situations, or unfortunately people that might really get to you, and then you in turn make those decisions. And the breath is one way to help combat those food trigger situations. And they're the comfort foods that we reach for. And unfortunately, they're the higher refined carbohydrates, processed sugars. So the breath, also, finding different recipes that use less processed sugars. If you do decide that you want to give into that treat or something in that nature, walking or riding your bike to get there, or journaling next to a hot cup of tea, or 5 to 6 yoga poses, in order to combat these food triggers. So it doesn't have to be just the breath. There's different ways that maybe you can write in your journal that resonate with you, that you find you can connect with, and creating these different ways to combat these food triggers.
I love that you said that, because I am definitely going to be trying this 5 minutes of breathing every day to help me to curb these triggers. But I would imagine that some of you out there will think, well, that's not for me. So I love that there's other options available, or I'm going to try them all, to see what works best for me. But so there's other options, from, journaling to taking a walk to bicycling to doing some yoga poses. All of these things can help to sort of refocus our mindset and help us to really decide if we're going to make that decision or not. So you had mentioned sugars, which sugars I think are sort of a phenomenon. We're very attracted to sugary foods. Do you all have the craving at like 9 or 10 o'clock at night? You eat well all day and all of a sudden that cookie is like calling your name? I feel that way. And so what is it about, I know that you've done some research and that, sugar is a hot topic in your world. Tell us a little bit about some of the stuff you've learned about sugars.
Sure. So one person that sticks out in my mind who has done research in the past few years regarding sugar is an endocrinology, a pediatric endocrinologist at University of California in San Francisco. His name is Dr. Robert Lustig, and his lecture went viral in about 2009, and it's called The Sugar, the Bitter Truth. And his research and multiple peer-reviewed articles showed that sugar is processed in the body very similarly to alcohol. It's seen as a poison. Mm-hmm. So sugar, unfortunately, in our community, in our national setting, it costs the healthcare system $1 trillion a year, stemming from diabetes type 2, diabetes, hypertension, obesity, certain types of cancer. They're all linked back to excessive sugar intake. So that being said, you want to know how to cut out sugar out of your day. And the American Heart Association recommends, in order to prevent these metabolic diseases, which I referenced before, the hypertension, the obesity, the coronary artery disease, 6 grams per day for women, or 24 grams per day, or 6 teaspoons for women, 9 teaspoons per day, or 36 grams per men. That's about 100 to 150 calories per day. So you want to know where these sugars are coming from, because not all sugars are created equal. High fructose corn syrup is not the same as fructose coming from fruits and vegetables, or lactose coming from dairy. So the important thing is to pay attention to labels and really utilize the labels and the ingredients list to figure out where that sugar is coming from. Is it added or is it natural? And added sugars, there's many different words. You can Google added sugars and find a whole slew of different names for added sugars. Natural sugar comes from fruits and vegetables, that's fructose, dairy, that's lactose. And these things are paired in nature with proteins, vitamins, minerals, fiber, phytochemicals, antioxidants. They're all paired with these things to stabilize them in your blood sugar. So you're not going to have the same spike in your blood sugar from fruits and vegetables and dairy as you would, say, a cookie. So I have a 2-step process in which I always recommend to people to pick out that added sugar, to be a savvy food shopper. And the first step is to look at the food label. And if it's greater than 6 grams of added sugar per serving, a red flag goes off in your mind. Once that red flag goes off in your mind, step 2 is to look at the first 5 ingredients on the ingredients list to see where that sugar is coming from. So if you see the first 5 ingredients, they're the most significant in the product. They're contributing the most to the product. So if you see any form of sugar, and again, it's disguised in many different ways, unfortunately. So anything from organic cane juice to invert sugar, brown rice syrup, that's a really big one. These are all added forms of sugar. And the added forms of sugar are just that. They're added in the process of making the sugar to either extend shelf life or make it taste better. You'll find a lot in low-fat products. You probably have seen this before, that low-fat products have more sugar to make up for the taste.
Yes.
So that 2-step process helps you kind of be a food detective.
Okay, I love it. Food detective. I love it. And you know what you just said really resonated with me as you had talked about the additive. I think you said, give me a few of those names again. You said the extra additives, the cane sugar.
So don't be fooled by organic or natural or tricky words, maltodextrin you'll see, or dextrin. These are sugars. Again, in the first 5, walk on by. But if, again, the natural sugars coming from dairy is lactose, and fruits and vegetables are fructose. Again, those are paired with the good things that are going to stabilize your blood sugar.
So I think that food marketers know exactly how to create this package that makes us think we're eating something healthy when we're not. So it's really important that we can play this food detective to help us really know what we're taking into our body. When I see, something is organic, I really have to go beneath the layers of the onion, so to speak, to understand what does that truly mean. So really start to become more of a conscious shopper and think about whatever you're putting into your body, your energy becomes whatever you put into your body. So be a little bit thoughtful about that. Are there any alternatives that you can think of, when it comes to replacing sugars? Let's say we're baking or we're creating something. Are there any alternatives that are good suggestions that will be better for us to use?
Sure. So there's 3 natural sugar substitutes, 2 of which are grown, or all 3 are actually grown in nature. Stevia, lo hang guo, this is a big one. It's also known as monk fruit, and coconut sugar. Coconut sugar per serving has the same amount of calories as table sugar, but it's sweeter, it has a different taste to it, so you don't have to use as much. And it's much lower on the glycemic index, so it's not going to affect your blood sugar the same way as table sugar would. You've got stevia, and then the monk fruit, the lo hang guo that I mentioned. You also have to, unfortunately, be a food detective in regards to this, because although in nature they don't affect your blood sugar and they're calorie free, when they're processed and they're bleached, a lot of times food companies will add sugar alcohols to them to make them a little bit sweeter, because we all have that innate desire for extra sweet. So you want to pay attention, read the ingredients list. I've been fooled before. Make sure they don't have erythritol, malitol. These cause gastric distress.
Oh.
So we want to avoid these. So look for raw versions of stevia and the monk fruit. And then the coconut sugar, that's kind of coming about more. I've seen that more in grocery stores. Pay attention to the calories per serving. And then in regards to just regular foods, paying attention to the labels. And if you have a natural sweet tooth, using things like medjool dates you can soak medjool dates and use these in recipes. They're nature's candy. You can eat them as is or use them in baking. You can also think outside the box and use things like avocados. Avocados are great in smoothies. They're also great as a substitute in chocolate pudding.
Wow.
So it might sound strange, but really great consistency. Avocados, cocoa powder and a little bit of coconut palm sugar or coconut sugar, and it's a great recipe for chocolate pudding. You also have things like cacao nibs, cacao powder. Cacao nibs are great sprinkled in yogurt. They add a good amount of texture, and they're unsweetened chocolate. So before it's refined down to cocoa powder. So it adds a sweetness to it, a little bit of sweetness to it, that chocolate taste that people always desire. So these are different ways. If you're a soda person and you want soda, even diet soda, you want to stay away from it. I always recommend plain seltzer water and sweetening it naturally with fruit, frozen berries. So then you get that extra benefit of a little bit of fiber and the vitamins, minerals, and phytochemicals, antioxidants.
Yes. Yes, I have heard that loud and clear about sodas, that there's just so much havoc that can wreak on the body, even in the diet form because of all of the artificial ingredients, and in the regular form, just such high sugar content that we don't really need. Well, those are such awesome ideas. In fact, I want to sit here and be writing them down myself. I know that was a lot of information, but what I want for you to do is to think about a few of the things that resonated with you. Maybe she said a few words that are things that you typically use or sounded interesting to you. And I want you to get a little bit more curious. Be a food detective this week and focus on how you can make some healthy choices, even if it's just one change, to be a little bit healthier, be a little bit more conscious about your sugar intake, be thoughtful about your triggers, that they can be triggered by stress and other things, and that there are things that you can do to prevent that. So now, Marissa, you had talked earlier about how yoga can play a role in helping to curb your triggers or to help you to not eat the foods that you don't really want to, by giving you a sound mindset and getting connected back to your body and what you really want. And this session is called Create an Awesome Life. So I think one of the best ways we could finish off today is by you showing us a few yoga poses we could do to help to bring us back to our mindset and back to our body and focus on the life we really want to lead, that awesome life, and not to be distracted by those triggers that cause us to make decisions that we don't really want to. So does that sound okay to you?
Absolutely.
All right, so let's get set up, and we're going to show you just a couple of yoga moves, or Marissa's going to show you and I'm going to follow a couple of yoga moves that will help you to curb your triggers or to fight those temptations, to stay focused on the things that are most important to you to live your most awesome life. We'll see you in a moment. Here we are on our mats, and we're about to show you 5 poses that you can do that will help you to prevent your food triggers. These poses will help you connect back to your breath and ultimately to your mindset to allow you to be powerful and strong and make decisions that are in line with the things that you want in your life. So Marissa, take it away.
So the first pose that I'll have you do is Navasana boat pose. And so you're going to find those sit bones, the bony parts that stick out of your butt, and you're just going to rock just behind those. And then you're going to place your toes on the mat and place your hands on the mat too. And you can stay here if this is enough for you. It might be enough for you. The main thing here is to focus on the breath. The next modification you could do is lift the knees up and hands out. Once you're here, you're going to connect with the breath for 5 breaths. Inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the nose, chest is coming forward. So this is designed to increase your focus, but at the same time strengthening your core and your legs. Good. Crossing at the ankles, just rocking through onto your knees, hands come down, and you're going to tuck your toes, making your way up into down dog. So your hips are going to come up and back. Your knees can be bent if you would like. So from here, we're going to come into a variation. So staying here in down dog, you're going to come into a variation of down dog. It's twisted dog. So bending the knees, you're going to exhale, draw the knees towards the left shoulder, holding here on the exhalation. Inhale, back to dog. Exhale, knees come towards the right. And this is massaging the adrenal glands. Inhale, back to dog. Exhale to the left. Massaging the adrenal glands, aiding in relaxation. And do this for 5 rounds. Good. And coming back up to down dog, you're going to look forward and you're going to step your right foot through between the hands. And you're going to drop the left knee down to the mat. The top of the foot comes down to the mat. From here, you're gonna inhale, hands come to heart center. Exhale here, we're focusing on the breath. And then inhale, arms come out wide. So you're just opening up your heart center here. So I'm just gonna keep my hands at heart center. So by staying here for 5 breaths, you're opening up the heart center for energy. Increasing the breath. In through the nose, out through the nose. And we'll call that 5. So from here, on the exhale, go ahead and release the hands down to either side of the front foot. Tuck that back foot and press that knee off the mat. From here, you're going to angle that back foot down, and you're sitting deeply here into a lunge. You're going to go ahead and interlace the hands behind the back and fold forward the right shoulder on the inside of that right thigh. This is a slight inversion that's therapeutic, helping you connect with the breath. And you can fold any amount that your body would like. You don't have to fold as deep as we're folded. Remembering to slightly engage that area below the navel to finish the exhalation. Good, and we'll call that 5 breaths. And exhale, release the hands onto either side of that foot, and go ahead and step back to down dog from here. Exhale here. Inhale, look forward, step the left foot through, drop that right knee to the mat, top of the foot comes onto the mat, hands to heart center. Exhale here. And inhale, open up those arms wide. Staying with the breath. That's the important focus here. Finish exhaling here. Hands come down. Tuck that back toe. Knee comes up. Angle that back foot. And go ahead and interlace the hands behind the back. Folding here. This is also strengthening the legs. Strengthening the core. Good. Finish the exhale. Go ahead and look at the toes. Release the hands. And go ahead and step back to your down dog. And from here, go ahead and come down to the knees. And shift the weight to the left. And swing the legs around. For our final pose, Baddha Konasana, you're going to, this is bound angle pose. You're going to draw the base of the feet, the bottoms of the feet together. And if you're feeling really cranky in your knees here, you can place pillows underneath to release some tension there. And you're going to grip the outer edges of the feet. Thumbs are at the bottom of the big toes. You're going to inhale, draw the chest forward, and exhale, draw the chin towards the shins and release the head. Releasing tension here in the hips. Finish your last exhalation here. And inhale, draw the head slowly back up. And those are your 5 poses to help you deal with those triggers.
I love them. Thank you so much, Marissa. I feel awesome. How do you feel? After those 5 poses, you should have a connection back to your mindset that allows you to tame the mind from food triggers and other stress. And as you're feeling awesome, I'm going to challenge you this week to 3 things that Marissa and I talked about today. The first thing that Marissa talked about is that there are a lot of different ways that we can prevent food triggers from happening, or stress in general in our lives. She talked about our breathing techniques. She talked about riding bikes or walking towards the food, the restaurant, the grocery store, wherever we're going. She also talked about doing things such as yoga poses. So I want you to pick one of those things that resonated with you and try it out this week. See how it works for you. The second challenge I have for you this week is for you to focus on being a food detective. I love that word, and I want to be one myself. So I'm going to go out and look at my labels this week, but I want you to start getting curious about what your labels tell you. Marissa gave you some great content around sugars and around what to look for and the types of words to look for in your first 5 ingredients. So I want you to go on out and look for those. Make at least one healthy decision that you wouldn't have made had you not heard Marissa talk today. And finally, I'm back to challenging you to your weekly goals. These goals are ones that you've been setting for the past few weeks that are aligned towards your vision statement or your vision board. But here's the twist this week. As we're heading into week 4, we're about to hit a month milestone. And that's a big deal. And your small things that you're doing each week, your small accomplishments are going to start to add up and be cumulative to be big. So I want you to start thinking big. I want you to think about monthly milestones that you can achieve for the next 3 months based on your vision board or your vision statement. What is it that you want to achieve? And what do you think you can do in the next 1 month, 2 months, and 3 months? Because see, what we're going to do from this point on is each week we're going to align our goals towards that monthly milestone. It'll be a way for us to really have a foolproof way to set goals and follow them. And so thank you, Marissa, for being here today, for sharing all of that great information, for challenging all of you out there to be your best, to focus on nutrition, to help you to live your most powerful life. I had a great time with you.
Thanks, Julie. Thanks.
So with that, here's to an amazing week ahead with you being your food detective and making great choices that will help you have an awesome life. Make it a great week, everyone. We'll see you next time.